The regularly scheduled program will not be seen, so we may bring you this special presentation.
We have no house.
No one would predict its fury. No one would predict its power.
Our neighborhood, or what was our neighborhood.
We never faced a storm like Hurricane Andrew.
In just hours, it became the storm no one will ever forget.
The damnedest thing I ever saw.
Remembering Hurricane Andrew 20 years later.
Good evening, I'm Elliot Rodriguez. Hurricane Andrew changed South Florida forever. The trail of destruction was surreal. If you were here when Andrew struck, you know the heartache and toll it took on thousands of people. If you didn't live in South Florida, after tonight, we hope you'll understand how this storm changed our community forever. Let's begin with CBS 4's Gary Nelson.
In the early morning of August 24th, 1992, a howling, almost evil-sounding wind blew across South Miami-Dade County. And when dawn broke, it revealed unspeakable destruction, the most costly natural disaster in the history of the United States. Betty Levy sat stunned on the pieces of her house.
There's nothing I could do anymore. Oh, my life savings.
Hers was a loss mirrored thousands of times over. For block after block, mile after mile, devastation after a night that we spent
in the closet, laying on top of my baby.
CBS 4's Al Sunshine's family rode out Andrew in a closet.
We were huddled in here, literally not knowing whether we were going to ever get out of the house alive or not.
And as for all of us, after the shock, reality set in.
There's absolutely no way to describe what it's like to see your house in pieces.
Everywhere, confusing images. How did that big boat get there? Cars and trucks tossed about like Tonka toys, and toys didn't have a chance. If we lost our homes, we also lost places where we shopped and ate. Some churches looked like the devil himself had his way with them. Everything that makes a community gone with the wind. Homestead Air Force Base, the economic jet engine of South Dade, was destroyed. Warplanes tossed about like cracked pieces from a G.I. Joe set. Utility crews moved in, not knowing where to start.
Oh, man. This is like someone nuked this whole area.
Powerless, ice and water became gold. Profiteers from out of state made a fortune on this truckload of ice. Sold in minutes. This woman wept at missing out. But there were good turns.
We're trying to help out.
This man and his wife drove down day one, giving away lunch from their van.
Do you know where your next meal is going to come from after this?
No, ma'am, I don't.
And she and her 3 kids would not get lunch. The bologna sandwiches and milk ran out as they waited. The Salvation Army, Red Cross, churches, and others rushed to help. This Howard Johnson's became a field hospital. Another was put up under a tent. A wall fell on little Alfonso Suarez's head during Andrew. It would be 3 days before a volunteer doctor diagnosed a skull fracture and marveled at the misery around him.
They're without roofs, they're without their water, without their electricity. More like a third world country right now.
Do you know that's against the law? You can go to jail?
Looters went to work. Police would arrest more than 200 in a few days. Signs like this were everywhere.
It's been a long 3 days without sleep, partner.
Businessmen and homeowners armed themselves. The National Guard and relief workers trickled into a hurricane zone where a flood of aid was needed. This sign on a roof said it all. And from the county's emergency services boss, a question heard round the world.
Where in the hell is the cavalry on this one?
The president,
I'm not going to participate in the blame game,
bristled but got busy. Suddenly, huge military planes began to arrive, disgorging trucks and tons of supplies and troops. As one commander put it,
the cavalry is at full gallop now.
They spread out, feeding the masses, erecting massive tent cities. Thousands left homeless would be housed in tents, fed and kept out of the rain.
Teacher asked me where do I live and stuff, my address. I told her Tent City.
They would later move into thousands of FEMA trailers where some would remain for years.
This is the street where I live in Palmetto Bay. It is the same street, the same house where I lived during Andrew. It looked a lot different then.
This was my street after Andrew. My wife's dad came down to help and brought his camcorder.
That's what you're seeing down the street. It's the damnedest thing I ever saw.
It was the damnedest thing any of us ever saw. We could not imagine a day so painful 20 years ago and could not imagine how many hard days and years would lie ahead. Gary Nelson, CBS 4 News.
There are many images from Hurricane Andrew frozen in our minds. One iconic shot is the aviary at Miami's then Metro Zoo. More than 100 exotic birds were lost there. Ron McGill, the communications director and Zoo Goodwill ambassador, reflects on the storm's devastation and reminds us to never underestimate Mother Nature.
When I look at those pictures, it's just how surreal it was. It seems like another world, another time. And yet I can't believe it was 20 years ago. I feel like it was yesterday. It's one of those things where you pinch yourself. You think, is this real or am I having just a really weird dream? Because that's what it was like. To look at the catastrophic effects of that storm. One of the things I learned is I'll never, ever underestimate the power of nature to destroy things. Of all the areas in the zoo that suffered damage, the aviaries probably became the iconic symbol of Hurricane Andrew. And the whole thing came down like a house of cards. And unfortunately trapped a lot of birds, and that's where we suffered our greatest mortality. We lost close to 100 birds in the aviary. Images that a lot of people remember from the storm was this shot of flamingos all in the restroom, just standing there looking at the reflection in the mirrors next to the sinks and the stalls. A lot of people ask us, what did you do with the animals? And the tigers are a classic example. They were safe inside their night house during the storm. The night house is strong to contain them, but we need to get them out as soon as possible because the more they stayed in the night house 24/7, the more crazy they were going to get. They were getting straight. They had to get out to get outside. So it kind of answered one of the questions that I had, was this going to permanently traumatize animals? And the reality is, I don't think so. I do remember one particular chimpanzee who, after the storm, she basically got into this catatonic state where she just rocked back and forth for a couple of days. Like she was numb. She'd become so stunned and shocked that she was numb to everything around her. She slowly but surely came out of it, and since then hasn't shown any other signs of that. But most of the animals, in reality, after the storm, they were fine. So there's no question in my mind that this zoo is now much better because of Hurricane Andrew than it is damaged due to the storm.
The damage from Hurricane Andrew was in the billions of dollars. It changed the way that insurance companies handle hurricane insurance. Here's CBS 4 Chief Consumer Investigator Al Sunshine with the costly legacy that affects us now and will affect us in the days to come.
Hurricane Andrew brutally exposed a failed system here.
We were very relaxed in the construction techniques, very relaxed on the inspection techniques, so it was a complete failure.
And with some $40 billion in damage, Hurricane Andrew remains one of the costliest natural disasters in U.S. history. We're still paying the price today in the form of higher homeowners insurance.
20 years later, you're definitely feeling the effects. Definitely. Because we have not been able to fix the problem.
How bad have insurance rates climbed the past 20 years? The average Miami-Dade homeowner's policy cost $568 back in 1992. Today, it's skyrocketed to $3,184. Broward was even less at $500 back then, but it now averages $2,804.
It's outrageous, and I don't know how people can afford it.
South Dade's Bobby Stanley remembers Andrew like it was yesterday.
Unbelievable. This is the day after the storm. We're out here surveying the damage.
Her insurance bill 20 years ago was $751. Today, it's more than $10,000. In essence, you're getting priced out of your home.
Yes, absolutely. And so are a lot of other people.
We never faced a storm like Hurricane Andrew before.
When Larry Jones rebuilt his house, he did as much as possible to make it stronger for the next bad storm.
We wanted to make sure if there was another Hurricane Andrew, we would be able to weather the storm a lot safer.
And Larry's extra work paid off. He was able to cut his insurance bills by about 30% through the state's windstorm mitigation program. But after complaints from the industry and heavy lobbying in the Florida legislature, most of those discounts were basically thrown out.
They came back in and did re-inspections on a home for mitigation just so they could say, we're going to increase your home. This really isn't fair.
Critics say state and federal lawmakers remain unable or unwilling to approve any possible fixes.
20 years later, we still have a Band-Aid. There's no solution as of yet.
Today, the state's biggest insurer, Citizens, wants to boost rates by another 10%. For the victims of Hurricane Andrew, it's a bitter reminder that 20 years later, the big storm is still haunting them. I'm Al Sunshine, CBS 4 News.
To get more perspective on Hurricane Andrew and how it deeply impacted our community, I'm in weather control and joined by our chief meteorologist, David Bernard. And David, in so many ways, this was the perfect storm, wasn't it?
It really was, Elliot. And the reason being, if you take a look at Florida's history, we had an enormous population explosion here from the 1960s up until the time of Hurricane Andrew. And you combine that during a time of very little hurricane activity. We did not have a major hurricane here since Betsy in 1965 at the time of Andrew in 1992.
Well, let's talk about now. How would the forecasting of a storm like Andrew change 20 years later?
Well, that's really interesting. You know, our computer modeling in 1992 wasn't near as advanced as it is today, so our understanding of the way the atmosphere behaves is a lot better now. And so I think we would have a lot better idea that Andrew was not going to turn out to sea. We would have known a lot earlier that it was going to continue west toward the Florida coast. The one thing we're not that good on yet is intensity forecasting. I don't know today if I had the exact same storm here that I would be able to tell you with any kind of certainty that it would be a Category 4, Category 5 monster. That's why we always tell people to prepare for at least one category higher than what the forecast is calling for.
We all learned a lot from the storm, and luckily the lessons that you learned here in weather control is helping us all be safer. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you, David.
Still ahead, they were just children when the storm struck. The trauma unforgettable. Hear how Andrew helped shape the young adults they are today. Plus, thousands left after the storm, but many stayed in South Dade. Meet one man who says his business is just now starting to fully recover from Hurricane Andrew. These stories and more when Remembering Hurricane Andrew 20 years later returns.
The best things in life are often short and sweet, like these great offers from Williamson Cadillac Buick GMC. Get the new Buick Verano for just $159 per month, or the new GMC Acadia for just $169 per month, both for only 24 months. Lease the all-new Buick LaCrosse for $189 per month, or the new Regal Turbo just $219 per month, also for just 24 months. Experience OnStar, Sirius XM Radio, and our one-stop service maintenance plan. Short-term leases, long-term memories. How sweet it is at Williamson Cadillac Buick GMC on South Dixie Highway at Southwest 104th Street.
Thanks for your help. You saved me a lot.
Don't thank me. It's the Honda clearance event.
Find your own great ending at the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Lease an Accord for 0 down payment, 0 due at lease signing. Now at your Honda dealer.
#1 in daytime talk.
I moved in with my former high school teacher.
Her mother thinks you are a pedophile.
#1 in families helped.
We're the epitome of a dysfunctional family.
This is a radical situation that requires radical change.
#1 in major interviews.
I want to know why baby Lisa hasn't been found.
Here's the thing with that nobody knows.
America's never heard this explanation before.
Dr. Phil, #1 in more ways than one. The new season begins September 10th on CBS 4.
43 Emmy nominations. That's more than twice any other television news network. That's original reporting at its best. CBS News.
Dennis Quaid.
I'm the law here, Mr. Savino.
Michael Chiklis.
I suggest you and your boys get out of my casino.
Vegas, Tuesdays this fall, only CBS.
Welcome back to the CBS 4 News special, Remembering Hurricane Andrew 20 years later. Surviving the storm was traumatic for all of us, but the children of Andrew also lost some of their innocence to the storm. In the months and years after the hurricane, some would run for cover in their homes when thunderstorms struck. Others would have nightmares. Now, those children of Andrew are young adults and credit the storm for the adults that they became. Here's CBS 4 meteorologist Lisette Gonzalez.
At the time of the storm, I was 10 years old.
4 children, now adults, survivors of a Category 5 hurricane that forever changed their lives.
It was the first time, as a child that I'd faced mortality.
It was very devastating for a young child to go through something like that.
It took so many years to, sort of be desensitized to, sudden surges in wind or, bad thunderstorms.
It was powerful, and it also showed me how quickly everything can just change. I also remember seeing my mom being almost like Superwoman because she lifted a mattress off the bed to block the door when the window blew in her bedroom.
Most of all of Grant Stern's South Dade home was blown away too.
There wasn't anything left on any surface except a copy of Gone with the Wind stuck to the desk.
Christine Armario rode out the storm in a 3-by-5-foot closet in this house, sandwiched between 4 other family members.
They're just sounds that I can still replay in my head 20 years later.
For some, the storm even shaped the adults they are today.
This was the defining event. And so I wrote an essay about that.
A school award for an essay turned into a career as a journalist for Christine Armario. Dante Diaz is now a tropical meteorologist at ImpactWeather.com in Houston.
I have that experience, so I understand, not only, what the storm is doing, but I also understand on how it affects people.
University of Miami psychiatrist Dr. John Shaw has written the book on the children of disasters.
If we get exposed in childhood to a terrible, traumatic experience, which you really weren't able to simulate and master, there's an inner compelling need to relive it over and over again and achieve mastery over it.
I was 16 when Andrew struck while I was living right here in Southwest Miami-Dade. And it's one of the biggest reasons why I became a meteorologist. For CBS 4 News, I'm Lisette Gonzalez.
The storm forced many to make a fresh start. Many chose to move one county to the north and escape to Broward. Construction crews couldn't work fast enough to build new homes. As soon as they went up, there were buyers ready to move in. According to the South Florida Regional Planning Council, Broward County's population rose by close to 50% in the year or two after Andrew hit. The city that saw the biggest growth was Pembroke Pines.
They had some real tragic things in their lives. Here they saw this huge area now being newly developed, and it worked out great for them. It worked out great for us, too.
The new residents from Miami-Dade tended to be younger and included a large number of Hispanics and Caribbean Americans, adding to the diversity of Broward County. Not everyone left in the wake of Hurricane Andrew. For those who stayed behind to rebuild, the road was tough and quite unpredictable. With the economic fallout that followed the storm, here's CBS 4's David Sana.
Yes, you could say it looked like a bomb had gone off. But what really had happened, generations of hard work and perseverance were wiped off the earth in a matter of hours. As Hurricane Andrew rolled through South Dade, no one knew their lives would be forever changed.
It was terrible. I mean, people were depressed, obviously. A lot of people were in a daze.
Kevin and Michelle Pedersen lost their home. The family business in Homestead since 1964 was in pieces.
What worse could happen than that? I mean, when you wake up in the morning and everything's gone.
And they were not alone. $1 billion of agriculture was wiped out, 82,000 businesses destroyed, 250,000 people permanently homeless.
A lot of times when we look at hurricanes, we just gauge the physical impact of it. But in this case, the economic impact was huge, and it went on for many years.
South Dade would never be the same.
But essentially, the entire middle class of the community left overnight.
In the days following the storm, Homestead Hospital CEO Wayne Bracken saw suddenly 4 times the number of patients coming in, while half his staff left.
This is it. Come here. We don't care right now about whether they're from this state or from another state. Bring a copy of their license with them. We'll know that they're okay. We just want people who know how to work.
We brought in people from all over the country.
And just as we began to clean up, South Dade would be hit again as Homestead Air Force Base shut down.
I would call it a disaster on top of another disaster.
7,000 jobs disappeared along with $400 million in local economic impact. South Dade's economy, what was left of it, was going off a cliff.
The big debate a lot of people had was whether they're going to stay or whether they're going to go.
We're looking at, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, who knows?
Homestead Tires owner Jim Atkins had a choice to make, a difficult one.
You know, the thought was, is this worth it? And he really felt obligated to his employees because they had nothing.
You're talking about, you know, when are you going to go back to your job? Who knows when? Or where are you going to be living for the next 6 months?
20 years later, the shop is still open.
I think without a doubt the right decision.
South Dade did rebuild, and some say still is.
That the sales figures now are starting to mimic where we were in 1992.
A 20-year recovery.
Yes.
Much of the recovery built by entrepreneurs who flocked here and the resilient few who stayed.
Today, probably half the people at this hospital were working here during Hurricane Andrew. So it's a testament to the people that live in this community.
Homestead Hospital went from profitable to financial ruin in the storm's aftermath. The old building recently reopened as a school as nonprofit Baptist Health South Florida built a brand new state-of-the-art Homestead Hospital.
As beautiful as this place is and the incredible work that's done here, the hospital still loses a lot of money, and you could really trace it back 20 years to that storm.
Just couldn't solve this in a day.
Or perhaps 20 years.
We got through this thing, and we're not going anywhere.
Still ahead, stories of strength in pictures. From behind a lens, they were witnesses to one of the worst natural disasters. When we come back, photographers with the Miami Herald show us the pictures that impacted them the most. When Remembering Hurricane Andrew 20 years later returns.
Get more free play at Calder Casino, giving away over $1 million in free play every month. Join South Florida's Best Players Club today and get more free play, great merchandise, buffet and drink offers, and more. It's always game on at Calder Casino, just north of Sun Life Stadium.
It's one of the hottest summers on record.
Bow, 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 boom.
But the real heat.
Hard, don't fail me now.
Is in the Big Brother house.
You can cut the chin-chin in the house with a knife.
Insane.
I gotta protect myself. This is my game.
Intense.
You all gonna get bullied by him?
In-your-face drama.
Hit me! Hit me!
And it's only going to get better.
I didn't clip my nails, so watch out.
Now that's good television.
A new Big Brother CBS tonight.
In a tough economy, the best retailers get even tougher. And right now, that's just what BrandsMart USA and Rooms To Go are doing. Once a year, they get together for one historic event. You know their reputations. They always save you big money, but never like this. Shop Rooms To Go and get huge savings on furniture. Shop BrandsMart USA and get big savings on electronics, appliances, and more. Buy at one, get extra bonus savings at the other. It's amazing, and it's now through Tuesday only at Rooms To Go and BrandsMart USA.
It can help you trim down, but it can't trim your energy bill. Raising your air conditioner by 1 degree can. This simple change gives you enough savings in 1 month to power your TV for 40 days, your PC for 46 days, or your entire home for 1 full day. With the improved FPL Online Home Energy Survey, you'll get expert recommendations on how to save money. So take the free FPL Online Home Energy Survey today to get energy fit and make your bill even lower.
It's always game on at Calder Casino. Win your share of $10,000 free play every Saturday. Plus, enter to win a Mercedes C250 Sports Sedan on Saturday, August 25th. Come in for your free entry daily. It's always game on at Calder Casino and Racecourse, just north of Sun Life Stadium.
Out of the crisis of Hurricane Andrew's aftermath, an organization committed to restoring the community was born. Neighbors for Neighbors, a nonprofit started by this TV station, then WCIX, was established to help those hit hard by Andrew. The station opened up its phone lines, and the response was overwhelming. 20 years later, Neighbors for Neighbors has helped 5.5 million people and remains a part of our station's commitment to South Florida. For more information on how you can get involved, visit neighborsforneighbors.org. We leave you tonight with some very powerful images taken by photographers with our news partners of the Miami Herald. They captured the pictures that were sent out throughout the world to alert everyone to the severity of the destruction of Hurricane Andrew. Here they are tonight in their own words. Good night.
Well, it was the morning, that day at sunrise, right after Andrew hit, and we came across this trailer park, and these people came back, and they had evacuated, and so they got back, and this little girl found her cat and her mother, and they just were just walking right at me. And then you saw the devastation in the background, and there was just nothing left.
This is the first person I see. He didn't know what hit him. And I go, what are you holding? He said, this is my only possessions that I have. Everything's destroyed. I don't know what to do. It was unbelievable.
I'm seeing hundreds of people at the park, thousands, needing aid, and the aid wasn't there.
I noticed these 3 Haitian women coming down the street, and they were just walking. It was normal. They had things in their head, and they were chatting and talking. I said, man, I guess it says a lot about Haitians that's seen it all.
And there's just house after house after house with no roof left. And here's this one guy who had painted, that's all, folks, up on the roof of his house. And it was just a really funny scene that people could still have humor in the midst of this. It was the greatest thing ever.
You know, 12 hours after Hurricane Andrew, I still think it was our news. I think people outside of South Florida really didn't know how horrible it was. Well, it was even more horrible at night. You could not put yourself in the shoes of the folks that were there. And as you got further south, you saw less and less things standing and more things down on their side, like that boat.
The only time I saw guns out in the streets like that, out in the open, National Guard in a chaotic situation. I had covered some other storms or overseas, but in Miami, never. Homestead, never. I think her eyes really tell a lot. You know, that this is too much for her, and you know, she's crying for help. Now I look back at Katrina, and it's like, man, didn't they learn from Andrew?
It's just like God put his hand down and went, whoo. That's what it looks like. There was nothing there. Everything was gone.